Hi, I'm Arin.
And I'm Jonathan.
And you're listening to Part the Mist.
We are, oh man.
A podcast by a couple of druids here in Portland, Oregon.
You know, I really wish I could get these intros right one of these days. This is our 15th episode. You would think I would remember that by now, but please bear with me. I've been up since 4 o'clock this morning, and it's going on about 6 p.m., so it's almost my bedtime.
Yeah, it's been a long week for everyone. We're recording this the week after the election, so we're all kind of still dealing with fallout, I think, but we're still here because we love you guys, and we want to tell you about the awesome Samhain time ritual that we put on November 5th. And it was actually not a Samhain ritual, it was a Welcoming the Mighty Dead ritual, which is a little bit, for our group, we have a little bit of a unique style of doing our Ancestor Ritual.
Before we continue, we have a very special guest with us here tonight. We have our Chief Druid. Yes, it is the Chief Druid. It is Ember.
Bum, bum, bum,
Bum,
bum,
it is-
bum,
it is-
bum.
The Ember.
All right.
Also sometimes called Red among the Grove.
Yes, especially when there's an ember and an amber.
Yeah.
It's just so close, so yeah. If people say go red, I respond to that as well.
Yeah, I get really tired, and I end up calling Ember, and then I get dirty looks from both, so... You know, it's Ember, it's too close. Especially when you're talking pretty quickly, it just mixes together.
So, Jonathan, why don't you tell us, this ritual is kind of Jonathan's baby, so I want him to tell us a little bit about what the purpose of this ritual is and what inspired you to do this.
Okay, well, let's see. So this is our third year of doing this ritual. This ritual, I guess, okay, I'll start out why we do this ritual. Up here in the Pacific Northwest, if you want a traditional Samhain, or if you want go to a dumb supper, or something like that, something Celtic, let's say, there are a dime a dozen here. You could pick them out anywhere. I mean, that's the big ritual that's held up here. So I figured I don't want to do another Samhain. I don't want to do another Celtic, ritual. I want to look at one of our other hearth cultures, and since I'm the Roman guy, I thought let's do something what the Romans did.
In case you couldn't tell by our last episode.
Yes, that big tyrant rant. Yes.
Tirade.
Thank you. Oh my God. Anyway, I want to do something different, and I want to do something that the public hasn't never seen. At least modern neo-pagans haven't seen. So I did a ritual that's half of it is neo-pagan, modern. The other half is reconstructed from about the 3rd century BCE of a traditional Roman exorcism before the Catholic Church took it over. So with this year's Ancestor Ritual, we did a 3-part thing. We had a song that everybody sang together. Then we had everybody stand up and say a little. What was the saying again? I just can't remember. Oh, they would state their name. They would state their beloved ancestors, and what was the ending?
I think it was.
I honor you.
Yeah.
I honor you. So they would state their name. They'll state the person's name. They'll state their ancestor's name, and then I honor you.
So it'd be like, my name is Arin. I am honoring Jim Moore, I honor you.
Yeah, something like that. And then after that...
Although people got very carried away with that.
Yes, they did. Yeah.
Which is good. Good for them.
No, this ritual is really much based on people's energy on this, so it goes either way on this one. And then the last part, we called upon the ancestors of the unknown ancestors. It was a litany of those who died and those who died in war, we pay you homage. Those who died making peace, we pay you homage. And there would be a list. So we invite both the known and the unknown ancestors to our ritual. And like how the Romans honored a lot of their deities, is they had people who it's kind of like drawing down the moon, sort of. It's like you had people who embodied the deities. So you would have a pregnant woman sitting on a chair, and people would make offerings to Juno through her because she was the embodiment of Juno. So we had some of our Grove members dressed all in white with white veils and everything.
I was one of them.
Yes. Come up, and then people would come up and make offerings to their ancestors through these Grove members. So they're wearing all white, and they are just the ancestors. And then we did our usual ADF stuff, the blessing cup, taking the omen. I think the omen was what was Earth again? Is that cup? That's not cups. That's pentacles.
It was 10 of pentacles.
It was 10 of pentacles, and then it was the fool.
The seeker.
The seeker.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was our omen. And then we got to our so that was the neo-pagan stuff. So then we got to our reconstructed stuff. Which I keep going, or do you want to jump in? Because this was the part Ember did. Because she does it so much better than I did, that I would do, that I figured she needed to do this.
Yes, and the final part of the ritual was in regards to demons, outer demons, inner demons, because in the Roman hearth culture they believed that anyone who died a tragic death, even though their soul would move on, the stain of that death, the shock of it, would stay on this earth and attach to the living. Some people might refer to those as, succubi, but in the Roman hearth culture, they're known as demons. So my part was to call on the god of death, Dispater. And this is the second time I've had to call on him. And I have to admit that this time around it was a little bit more potent than last year. Probably because I was not necessarily more experienced, but I knew more of what I was getting myself into. Whereas before I was, oh crap, don't look at Dispater, oh crap, don't look at him. And this time there was more confidence and more like, okay, this is what needs to be done. And I was able to let myself go a little bit more and really dig into the grief when it comes to calling on Dispater. And the reason why we called on him is because the demons escaped the underworld. And Dispater does not like that. He has order in his underworld. So he has these creatures called hellhounds. And it's those hellhounds that we were beseeching Dispater release so that they could come and fetch these demons that were still clinging to us and then drag them back down to the underworld where they belong so that we would be free of them. That is where we get the quasi-exorcism feel.
Well, it's not the quasi-exorcism. It actually, there's the steps to the exorcism. So I will not challenge you, but I don't want to correct you. I just say, so for an exorcism, you have to recognize there's a problem, mm-hmm. that you have some sort of grief or something.
Right.
Then you call upon a supernatural being, mm-hmm. Dispater. Then the supernatural being will then pull these things out of you. And then you have to banish these supernatural beings. So that's exactly what we did. I think the term exorcism has been such taken over by the church.
Which is why I said quasi.
Okay. Yeah, this is not small tirade. This is the little things that kind of at least irk me, is that we can't use terminology that was originally pre-Christian because now it's too Christian.
Right.
So, so with this, and when she said when Ember said not to look at Dispater, the idea is when she invokes him, or when she calls to him and she makes offerings to him, you look away. And this is traditional. You do not look at the offerings, and how you call to him is you bang on the floor. Because he's down there. Traditionally, there would be a mundus, which was just a hole dug into the ground, in which offerings to Dispater would be thrown into this hole. So you would dig the hole, you would bang on the ground next to the hole, you would invoke him, you would throw these paper masks made of human faces, which are traditional offerings to him. And while you're throwing those into the hole, you look away because you simply don't want to form a relationship. He is not Hades. He is death. Like the Grim Reaper would be the closest thing that we could. But he doesn't care about us. But if you annoy him, you don't want to do that.
I always like the relation that you made for me last year. He's a bit like Death from Supernatural, but without the love for deep dish pizza.
Hey, we
exactly. Yes.
We don't know that.
Well, fair.
But after calling on Dispater and calling for his hellhounds, that's when the demons appeared, where we had 3 of our members dressed up as 3 specific demons. The first one, child death, or child death. Mm-hmm. The other one was what was it? Accidental.
No, it's murder.
Murder. And the final one was suicide. And each Grove member who played their respective demons did a fantastic job. Drea did the child death, David did the murder, and Amber did the suicide. And everyone was amazing to where they were very much, digging deep into some of those, crevices that we usually don't like to look at.
Mm-hmm.
And it really moved everyone that attended the ritual, and it was a potent yet again, and people were ready. Unlike last year, people were really ready to get rid of those demons. Last year, when I called for people to rise up and cast out those demons, pretty much telling them to go away, piss off, what have you.
She told them to pretty much, okay, so this is somebody used one bad word, so everybody, cover your ears.
No. Okay, well, let me say it.
Okay, then you could say it. Everyone cover your ears if you can't handle this.
Because last year, when people were yelling at the demons to go away, I don't want you anymore, go away. It was being
very nice.
They were being very nice. It was almost too Pacific Northwest polite. I mean, it was like, please go away. Please don't bother me. And I was like, no, come on. These demons have been like hooking themselves into you and making you miserable. Tell them to go away. And then I finally said, tell them to fuck off. And as soon as I said that, it was like a wave just rolled right over the audience, and everyone started cussing and swearing at the demons, and everyone was letting it loose to tell them to go away, because I had given them permission to be able to do it like that. And that was last year. This year, I didn't have to do anything. Oh my goodness. I just tell people to rise up and start yelling at those demons, and people were like on it. They were yelling and screaming, and I didn't really have to
I couldn't even hear you anymore.
Yeah. I had a hard time hearing myself. I was just like, okay, and we'll keep pushing these demons out then. Okay.
Now, just to clarify, we use demons, and I know that sometimes brings up a whole variety of imagery. Obviously, we're not talking about Judeo-Christian demons. However, there's no real good English translation for the word. There is a Latin one, but that word would not mean anything. I mean, we'd understand, okay, so this is the Latin word for what we think might be demons, but that doesn't trigger any emotions. That's just, one of those fancy Hearth culture specific words, So the demon is the closest English translation we have of it, but it's not, first off, again, it's not a dead person. It's an essence of emotion, of an extreme emotion that manifests into a zeitgeist that turns into a spirit of some sort. And, we've all experienced things that, like, if this group mind will come together and start believing in this thing, and you could sense this entity is now around us. It's sort of the same thing. And the idea with this ritual is that you're coming together realizing that, A, you're not alone with dealing with these issues. Mm-hmm. There you have a whole group of people dealing, we had 60-something people at this ritual. Mm-hmm. So you have people coming together, doing this ritual and healing together. Now, This is obviously not our real celebratory ritual. Our potluck is usually about half the people leave after this, and it's usually our regulars leave too. It's a lot to handle.
Well, that message was something that I felt was very important to get across. After everyone had done their yelling, and I was having people breathe and calm down, I wanted them to walk away with the fact that they're not alone. You know, in their darkest times, if they think they're the only ones that have these feelings or these thoughts, it's like, look around you. You're not alone in this. There are other people that have these same thoughts and feelings, and together you guys can get through this. And it also kind of connects back to like the ancestors.
Yes.
Like you're never alone.
Never alone. So, Arin, did you want to share some things from yourself and maybe a couple of our other members?
Sure. It was kind of a different experience for me this time. I was an ancestor again. I did the same position last year. And I would say if there's anything that I learned this year, it's that this is one ritual where you cannot do the same part 2 years in a row. David and Amber both also played the same parts that they had previously, and I don't know about David so much, but I know Amber and I were sitting there going, yeah, I'm feeling like I need to do something else next year in this ritual. For me, I almost felt like I didn't have the same immunities that I had last year. Last year, I had a very dear friend die recently, and I felt her presence there with me. I felt her protecting me. This year, it was almost like it was opposite. It was almost like I had to protect the ancestors. And I'm not sure if that was just because of a difference between in the nature of the ritual, or just because I was repeating a role. But I know I definitely will be doing something different next year. It also was very emotional for me. I had a hard time staying in my role because I was dealing with a lot of very personal stuff that made it difficult for me to access the emotions that I needed to have for the ritual. I also had a migraine at the time, so it was a wonderful cocktail of experiences. So my experiences are not that interesting, but I do have some recaps from Mama Gaea, Christina, who was the other ancestor, as well as Drea, who was the demon of child death. And I'm going to read those, because they were unfortunately not able to make it tonight. This is one of the downsides, I think, of having these recordings on the weekdays. So from Mama Gaea, she says, the ancestors' visitation was a time for ritual participants to honor their loved ones without hesitation. One by one, folks came forth and honored their ancestors of blood, spirit, and heart. As one who offered herself as a vessel of offering, the ability to accept love and reverence on behalf of those who passed was an honor. The energy emanating from some of the participants showed a spotlight on their souls. It was as though the sun shone from behind them, and those who needed healing found their ancestors reaching out to take that pain away. Hands upon hands, flocking like birds to snag away entanglements and heartache. Another facet of embodying the ancestors was to provide sacred and protected space during the dark moments. We made sure all the ancestors were shielded from harm and stood as guardians until the danger had passed. Welcoming the mighty dead meant giving of ourselves in the spirit of hospitality and reciprocity, and we're glad we had the opportunity to do so. And from Drea, she says, I was honored to be a part of Columbia Grove's Honoring the Mighty Dead ritual. I played one of the demons in the ritual. The demons were intended to represent traumatic death, and their portrayal and banishment during the ritual was meant as a cathartic healing for the community. The demon that I played was the trauma of child death. I wore a hooded black robe, black mask, and veil, and held a baby doll wrapped in black fabric. I took this role very seriously, as I have friends who have lost babies, and I think the fear of loss is so intrinsic to childbearing people. It is one of the most terrifying things I can imagine happening in life. In the ritual, after the Roman god of the underworld and his hellhounds, spirits who collect the demons or relieve people of their trauma around death, were summoned, I came out first and walked down the aisle of the hall. taking my place in front. To get into character, I connected to my own personal trauma around death and also tapped into the void to funnel the collective grief of parents who have lost a little one. I saw myself as a conduit for them to get it all out and release it to the hellhounds to be taken away. I stood in front of the audience and screamed with all the ferocity I could muster. I sobbed, I clutched my baby, and literally shook with pain. When people came up to give the demon's offering, it was so lovely to feel. It was so lovely how many feminine feeling hands I felt touch my arm to soothe me. Some people even said sweet things to try and calm me. That really touched me and reinforced how important what I was doing was to all the parents in the room. When the audience finally banished us demons with lots of passionate yelling of their own, the three of us demons ran out into the rain and after pulling off our robes, cleansed each other with sage smoke. I felt like my insides had been scrubbed clean. I was lightheaded and felt I had released so much painful energy to the universe for reclaiming. Then I helped to sage all attendees who came outside afterward, as we all certainly needed it after that emotional release. I am so thankful I was able to take part in the ritual this year, and I hope that my part was cathartic for the community and served to help heal them. Which, if I can say so, I would say, yes, Drea, your part was cathartic and helped heal people.
Oh, yeah.
I think.
And the sage station, or was it the self-serving sage station, best idea ever.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a really good idea. If you're not going to sage people, this is something that we found out. I kind of came up with this idea of like maybe, it takes a long time to sage individual people in ritual, especially when you have so many people. Set up a little candle with some sage and something to put it out, the sage out with, and let people do it themselves is fantastic. I do think that certain parts of this ritual, I mean, a lot of people got this ritual, but I think some people it was kind of, I don't know if they 100% understood what we were doing, because Amber came up to me later and said that a few of the guests thought that she was possessed by demons, so they were trying to remove it from Amber because they knew it was Amber. They didn't realize that even though we've explained it to them, and I think that's hard with working with the public. As much as you try to explain it, there will always be a few people who just didn't understand that. So I think when they got up and started doing their thing, they might have been a little confused.
Well, that's fine. It happens.
I think it had the same end result.
Oh yeah. So I think we should just wrap it up at this point.
Yeah, I think that about does it. It was a fantastic ritual. Thank you so much to both of you guys for putting it on again.
You're welcome.
I think I'll probably be doing it again. Hopefully, cross my fingers. I work for Portland Transit now, so I don't know my schedule. I may be leading it. I may be not leading it next year. Might be two brand new people handing the torch to somebody else. So that we will see.
Yeah.
All right. So next episode we'll be our Norse Hearth culture.
Yes, and we'll actually be getting one of the hosts from Gifts of the Word on the podcast. So look forward to that in the future.
Yes. So stay tuned to our next episode.
And we'll see you then. 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 And we'll see you then.